So, hi friends, it's a pleasure to have you with us today for this interview during deAI Day event while Token 2049 is happening in Dubai. As I've heard your name and Cere Network's name a lot, and I know that everyone knows the craziness around Cere Network. We are really curious to know more about yourself, your background, and Cere Network. Can you please give us a brief intro?
Sure. Thank you for having us here. It's I have a lot of respect for Eighth Year, and you guys have a kick-ass team. So glad to be here. Thanks, Area. So we started back in 2019, believe it or not. So we were incubated by Binance Labs back in the day. And so we came out with quite a bit of fanfare, right? Back then, our motto was decentralized Salesforce, decentralized CRM, because we were already passionate about the data sovereignty or data privacy. And we already envisioned a world where everyone have their own personal data streams and allow and opt in, right, to businesses and services and applications that need access to that data. But they're the gatekeeper rather than Google and Apple and all the apples, right? So the biggest problem right now, we believe, is that you have so much data silos, right? Like say you use all the 17 different apps to communicate. So you don't even have your conversation in one place, right? Yeah. So intelligence needs to happen for you and need to happen for your interest first. And this is the biggest conflict of interest right now because all your data don't belong to you. All your data actually are part of the big data monopolies, right?
Great. The fact that you have started in 2019 and you have survived so many storms, I mean, the Luna crash, the FTX crash, I think it's enough to believe that Cere is building a real thing and you have a real use case. And the way that you are trying to protect the privacy and provide the real use case for crypto is really inspiring. By saying that, I saw a word that made me really curious. First, decentralized data cloud. You have described Cere like that. Mm-hmm. How would you explain that vision to someone totally new to Web3? Let's take my grandfather.
Sure. Yeah, so you want your data to be hosted on these automated data servers where no one has any of the information completely about you. So if you think about, you take just say your picture, right? And you fracture that image into hundreds of pieces, and it's all fully encrypted and hashed and stored on hundreds of different servers, right? And if you're just able and using the magic of math and cryptography, say if you're just able to retrieve a small number of those pieces, you can potentially rebuild your whole image. So that gives the data the very, very high resiliency and the durability that it needs. So if you have a data cluster that can do that, where that data can be stored and also agreed, right, by on-chain governance to say, hey, we'll host everyone's data for X amount of time, right? And then also make sure that any time that data is accessed, it has to be permitted, right? Meaning that using multi-party asymmetrical data encryption in Web3, you can do that so that only your trusted AI agents with their signature can access your data. And somewhere your public key and the agent's public key is already merged together in an agent registry, right?
Amazing. Thanks for the simplified explanation. I think that was enough to educate everyone about what you guys are doing and the ability to explain anything when it's simplified. I think that's enough to believe that the project knows its vision and knows what it's building. Mm-hmm. We see that really the space, to be honest. And by saying that, I'm going to get to my next question, which is about AI. AI demand is exploding, and centralized clouds cannot keep up. Mm-hmm. How does a Web3 native approach like Cere's help tap into idle GPUs and close that compute gap?
Yeah, that's a great question because there are so many idle computing resources, right? So for example, if you have a desktop, somewhere sitting around with a decent CPU and you drop 4090, just type of GPU on it, you can already do a lot of inference, right? And so you're not monetizing that bandwidth. You're not monetizing your computing power, right? So by mobilizing a lot of these small data clusters to form all around the world, you can actually bridge a lot of that gap. Because it's almost thinking about a different way of processing, because today's data clouds mostly centralize everyone's data together and then figure out how to operate and allow different massage them into different warehouses or optimize for different dashboards, different business units, and it doesn't really serve everyone's interests well. So we're basically turning this paradigm to be much more distributed and much more so you can be better served by AI agents or models that are living very close to you. So as soon as your data is actually uploaded to the stream, you can already start operating on it. That's what the future looks like, because everything we say, everything we see, everything we hear, plus all the robots that serve us, right? All that information has to be automated almost in real time, right? At the edge.
Exactly. The idea of leveraging global idle compute is like Web3 native. So I think you're definitely making the real decentralization available because, as you mentioned, even the current decentralized programs that we have a point of centralization somewhere.
Yes.
And by solving that, I think we will be a lot more decentralized and the privacy will be a lot easier to achieve. I heard that you mentioned AI agent when you were responding to the last question.
Yeah.
And everyone is talking about AI agent. I mean, that's the main narrative this year. But in your view, what's still missing before autonomous agents can truly serve each of us, personally?
Yeah, it's actually real access to data. So there's a trust mechanism that's missing that says, okay, I have some data and I have my personal data stream, right? Whether it's all of your health data, whether it's all your location data, whether it's all the things that you watch, all the things that you purchase, or whether it's all of your resting heart rates, all the things that matter to you, or all your conversations, right? So lack of that access to your data and have this sort of a personal intelligence that happens for you. Like, so for example, if you're in a context of speaking with a loved one, right, you want to have your personal AI that's already have access to all of the past conversations so they can actually understand and have context and give you these reminders and hints why you're actually having a conversation, right? Or even detect, like sort of, elevation in stress signals or detect anomalies, right? You need to have all these AI working for you. But right now, all of the AI is actually working on against your, say, WhatsApp or Facebook messages, and for the benefit of these, businesses and platforms, right? They don't work for you. So you have to change that paradigm around and start this revolution by first set of use cases that really has a set of AI agents that works for you and can bring that information to a number of apps that say, hey, I want to engage with your AI agents in a way that can better serve you, right? So imagine if you walk into any hotel and without disclosing where you stayed, you can give them kind of a profile to say, hey, like the many places around the world, many type of places I've stayed, and roughly understand kind of how to customize the service for you, right? And almost give you kind of like an instant kind of a customization or rewards profile, right? So that's the future we're looking at, right? And it's going to happen. It's just a matter of solving the cold start problem.
That makes so much sense. I mean, today's AI agents and AI users, AIs, are kind of like intelligent, but they have no memory, at least for the personal use case.
Yes.
And they're cool, but there's no use case for that. They're just the big companies are using them.
Yeah.
But for personal use cases like the hotel thing that you mentioned, it will be just crazy to make that possible. And I think there will be a huge demand and huge market for that.
Yep.
And by saying that, I'm gonna get to the last question, which is kind of personal. I know that you have been in Silicon Valley and you have been in startup space, company spaces for a long time, since 90s.
Yeah.
What is your advice for the new founders and people who want to be an entrepreneur now?
Well, I think today it's very different than, say, 10, 15, 20 years ago, because you have so many great online resources, right? There, like there's like YC, there's A16Z, there's a lot of these people out there that kind of are showing you the way, sharing their stories. But there isn't anything new that I can say, right? But what I can really, the thing that really matters to me is that you have to really kind of understand what is it that you really want to work on, and it takes time for you to figure out, because what you're truly believing, what you love to do, what you're good at doing, and then who you can actually work on with. This is something that you have to sort of just give it time to have the right condition before you go into this entrepreneur path, right? My favorite book, obviously, is a signed copy of Hard Thing About Hard Things, right, from Ben Horowitz. I recommend that for anyone So it's really it's you have to embrace it, but your entrepreneur is basically a sort of a faster path to get through the game of life, right? But at the same time, you have to embrace that. Hey, just understand that each set of challenges is designed to sort of elevate you faster, right, to that higher level. You're trying to go from level 5 to level 13, right? You don't say, hey, I don't want to take this regular path, which is that's the best analogy I can make.
Yeah, thank
Right.
you. Such an inspiring advice.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this discussion and interview, and I personally learned a lot from your takes.
Yeah.
Wish you and Sarah all the best, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Have a
Aaron.
nice day.
Thank you.